Hello, everyone. I'm Keith Casebolt. Welcome into Simply Life. My dear friend, Gary Johnson, please tell me life is still simple.
Well, if you got your toilet paper in, it is.
Oh, my goodness. You have tried to tell us so many times on this show that there's certain things we can't control. There's things that we worry about that we can't control. There's fears. You've talked and talked to us forever. But this past weekend was probably a pretty good example of what you've been trying to teach us.
It is. We can't do anything about this virus. We can do the things they tell us to do to try to have as much hygiene as possible. We can isolate ourselves to the extent we possibly can, which is pretty smart right now because it keeps it from spreading.
You and I are 6 feet away. You're on one side of the studio. I'm on the other. We've got our little Clorox wipes in
big
here.
Clorox wipes in between us.
We've
just
got
in
the
case.
wipes in between us. And no, we did not greet each other with a handshake. So even you and I, we're following all of the examples.
And I think if everybody does, in 3 or 4 weeks, things will be back to normal.
That is the hope.
That's the plan, I think.
Yeah.
And it should work. The thing about it is, I worry about my friends that haven't stocked up enough to make it 2 or 3 weeks in case they stop running the trucks or whatever for the grocery stores. I don't think they will.
No.
And I think that when you get out on the highway, there's commerce going on. There's all kinds of trucks. There's all kinds of everything. So I think it's just a matter of an inconvenience for a period of time. But if we don't take the inconvenience,
Sure.
then it could really be bad.
So
because
if
the hospitals can't possibly take care of everyone if we let it get that way.
So you're saying right off the bat, it's in our best interest to do everything they tell us to do for the next 4 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever the time period is, to see if it does work.
And if it works, be life back to normal. The good times will roll, no problem. And be happy. When you get home, my friends, start talking to each other.
Oh, there
Get
you go.
Get you some board games or some card games or whatever. Start getting to know your family again, but stay home.
Yeah.
And guess what? You'll save all kinds of money by doing that. So there's a silver lining in this, believe it or not. We will become stronger. We will never, ever have our guard down again to where we can't deal with it early.
Absolutely.
And
There's
it's part of living.
There are going to be lessons learned from it.
There'll be lessons learned until we forget them.
And until something else comes along. Yeah, I thought that was, when you said that, my son got a little small income tax return. And he said, Dad, good news and great news. And I said, what's that? He said, I got a small income tax return, but the great news is there's nothing to spend it on. All the concerts and the ball games are closed down. He said, so it looks like I'm going to have to save it. I said, well, that is the good news.
It's true. And I think that I feel for those poor people that did the gambling on the games.
Oh, Vegas.
Oh, Vegas casinos are closing.
Absolutely. The MGM, all of them, they closed down the gambling for 2 to 3 weeks to let things kind of settle.
We may get rid of all the sin.
You think?
Think about it.
Well, I liked what you said about the family unit and staying home. I had an individual over the weekend said, man, I'm lost to death. There's no ball games on TV. And I always spend my Saturdays and my Sundays watching ball games, on television. And I got to thinking, maybe this individual is going to spend his Saturday or Sunday taking a hike in the woods with his kids.
Working out a little bit.
Piddling around the house, picking up.
Maybe pick up a good book and read it.
Oh, on our last program, you talked about the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. And all of us have said we don't have time to get through a book like that. I think you may have time right now.
I think it's yes, for the next few weeks, yes.
So
You're
order
gonna have
you a
time.
good book. If you're going to be kind of isolated and quarantined, use the time in order to do something.
Yeah. Do something constructive. And be happy. You can't change it. Make the most of it.
Well, when you follow all the instructions, you know, one of your things on the 4 agreements is always do your best. When you've done your best to follow all the rules and you've watched and you haven't gotten around a crowd, you haven't been around anybody sick, you've done the hygiene, the wipes and all that, there's really nothing else you can do.
Anita was looking at the groceries I drug in, and she said, I see my life ahead of me cooking.
Yeah, well, it's either going to be Anita or you one's going to be cooking. I got tickled. I don't know if I can pull this up and show it to you. I'll try, but somebody sent me a little thing that I guess you can find humor in anything, but they sent me a little thing from the grocery store that has those little automatic claw machines, you know, where you can win the stuffed animal, and they had replaced the stuffed animal with toilet paper. So the claw machine's got rolls of toilet paper in it that you could go, I'm sure that's not funny, but it kind of struck me funny when it was. But that's somebody trying to find some humor out of what is a pretty serious situation.
I was in a art store looking around just out of curiosity, and one of the little signs they had up for you to get to put in your house is, you really never know what you've got until you don't have it. For example, toilet paper.
Well, there you go. And, you know, for the life of me, I'm not sure why that became a scarcity or a commodity that we needed to worry about disappearing.
It was scarce when I was growing up. We didn't have any.
Yes, Sears.
I'm trying to think back on that, how we may do it. I can't come up with it.
Now, you know, I'd say probably 90% of our listeners are not old enough to understand what you and I are going to say, but that old Sears and Roebuck catalog came in handy.
Yeah, and that's why I hate to see Sears go broke. It saved us.
You remember the good old days when the song come out about the man on page 501? The misprint? People will have to Google that to figure that out.
Yeah.
But Sears and Roebuck, yeah, that was the toilet paper.
But, folks, it's a good old life. You're alive. If you're listening to this program, you can hear. Things are pretty good. Overall, we're not having to be a politician right now. Think how lucky we are on that.
Oh, it's enough to take care of ourselves, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It's another job to try to do all the other things. I just thought, though, over the weekend when I heard all the news, I kept thinking about all the things that you have said. Could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. And I thought, okay, now how possibly could this thing that we're going through right now ever turn out to be something good? And you've already thrown out several examples. The family unit could become closer.
That's right.
You'll spend more time with your family. You might spend more time outdoors instead of watching ball games on the television.
You may get to know your family.
We may end up finding a protocol that will never allow this type of situation to ever take us off guard again, so that in the future thousands of people will not get sick or die, but you're going to learn from it. So I tried to do that little test that you gave us over the weekend of trying to find something good out of this. And it's kind of hard to do, but if you search long enough, I think you can.
Well, if we learn from it, there will be a lot of good come from it. If we don't learn anything from it, then there will be no good come from it. These type of viruses have been around ever since probably I was born, or even before that, long time, forever.
Sure.
Yet the money has never been spent to figure out how to deal with a new one that comes along. Some outfits a couple of years ago was begging for the funding from the government to do that, and no one would even listen to them. So I think that'll change. I think that maybe this is a wake-up call.
This is enough to get everyone's attention.
And I think that this wake-up call will make a difference, and it will definitely make a difference.
Gary, let's talk about the other thing that you often talk about on this program, the working men and women that make up this economy and that are there day and night to provide us with services and goods. Unfortunately, a lot of those good people are probably going to be laid off or have to go home during this time period. That's a tough thing. But the other thing is, for those people that are still out there working, they're out there, they're on the front lines, they're dealing with the public, they're meeting more than 50 people a day at their cash register, and they're doing that because they need to support their families, and they need a lot of respect for their bravery.
I got some groceries, I guess it's yesterday. And this cashier that was waiting on me, I mean, she was haggard because she was really being overworked. There was no question about it.
Probably because a lot of people called in scared and didn't come in to do their shift.
And I talked to her for a minute. I said, I just hope that these people here know enough to know how important you are to us.
Yeah.
And she was working really, really hard. So I'd bagged my own groceries, by the way.
Absolutely.
And when it was all over, we decided we were a good team.
Well, my wife and I did that over the weekend, and my wife explained to me that I had no clue as to what I was doing. I was putting all of the wrong items in the wrong bag with the wrong things. There's a science to it.
The science is you throw everything you can get in the bag and then put it in the thing. Throw it in the bag, put it in the thing. Throw it in the bag, put it in the thing.
That was my science.
To get out of there.
That was my science. But
there's people behind you that need that space.
I know, but the wife said I was doing it wrong.
And you were doing it wrong in the sense that you weren't doing it the way she wanted you to do it.
Which was the right way, by the way.
Which is the right way.
You know,
always.
Something else that came out of this was one of the things they've warned us not to do is to touch our face. In other words, keep your hands away from your mouth and your nose and your eyes. And when that came out, I said, well, that's no problem because I never touch my face, my mouth, nose, or my eyes. So I had about a 45-minute commute, and I just decided to count while I was driving how many times. It was like 20, 25 times that I had reached up and touched my face without even knowing it.
There are those out there that says they can do that, right? They can't.
You can't do it.
You can't do it.
Nope. I had no clue.
I don't know why it is, but I said to myself yesterday I wasn't going to touch my face.
Uh-huh.
I lied.
Last about a minute or two.
It lasted about 2 minutes later, I was touching my face.
I didn't
even know I was doing it.
You don't even realize that you were doing it. And there's a social media clip going on where there's a doctor telling you not to touch your face, and she's reading it, and as she's turning the page, she takes her finger and tips it to her tongue in order to turn the next page. And this is the lady who's telling you not to do it.
That's right.
It is a voluntary thing that we do that we don't even realize.
Well, I watched a debate the other day, and both Bernie Sanders and Biden said, yes, we're doing what people say to do, or all these things. They're not touching their face. They both touch their face all the time.
It is almost impossible. They
didn't know they were doing it.
You don't know that you're doing it. So the goal there is to make sure you've washed your hands and you've got them.
The key is concentrate on your hands. You might can do something about that. Put you some Clorox wipes in a little plastic bag and put it in your pocket and carry it with you.
Hey, these are, and you and I don't endorse anything other than your law office, but I will tell you this Clorox disinfecting wipe, at least the label says it kills 99.9% of all viruses and bacteria.
And that other 0.01% is what got us.
Well, I'm hoping that's not the one it doesn't kill. I mean, you know, Gary and I, we were sitting and talking. What do we talk about? What do we talk about to our friends? Everybody's upset. Everybody's scared. I'm like, Gary, what do we do? And you went quickly through the checklist and said, Keith, we can only do the things we can do. we've got today. We need to try to enjoy today, enjoy our family.
Enjoy it. I mean, it's almost like it's a vacation.
You quickly brought me back to earth by saying if we could do anything about it and stop it, we would. We can't, so all we can do is follow the instructions.
And I really think there will be things that come out to protect the people that's not being able to be paid right now. At least I hope so.
Sure hope so.
That the government will do something.
And you know, Gary, the other thing, whether it's this virus or another virus, maybe just the habit of better hygiene in the future or this coming winter will do away with a lot of the flus and colds and things.
Actually, I thought about that earlier today, that if everybody keeps doing what they're doing right now, the big flu will take a hit lick.
So it could be something that changes health care by 10 or 20% in the upcoming years because people will be practicing better hygiene.
If they do. So
well,
it's quite remarkable. There's always a plan.
Mm-hmm.
We just never know what it is. And this plan may be that we need to shape up.
Well, you know, I got to say.
So let's don't worry, folks. There's nothing we can do about it.
When it first came out, I thought this will blow over. Everything will be okay.
It will.
I had a
It just
trip.
may take a little longer than we thought it would.
I had a trip planned that I canceled. And then as things got a little bit worse, I heeded the advice. I've got my wipes. The elbow bump is good. Even a nod of the head or a bow or a distant hello works for me. But as of right now, we've got to follow the protocol.
When you think about, is there anything more ridiculous than the handshake?
I actually had a guy in the grocery store that said, I feel horrible about not coming over and shaking your hand. I said, it's okay. We're fine. He's like, I know, but I feel like
if we could just get rid of that habit.
Yeah, he said, I feel like I'm being rude to you by not doing it. I said, trust me, it's good. I'd rather you not catch anything from me or me not catch anything from you. We're good. We don't have to shake hands.
I'm serious. I think that we need, this is just me, that everybody should say, okay, we are going to get rid of the ritual of handshakes. As a country, we're not going to do it anymore. It is amazing how much more hygiene we will have if we don't do that.
Gary,
now, that's a simple thing we can control.
I think you have hit on to something that could be big, and you and I could have the slogan, milkshake good, handshake bad.
Milkshake excellent, handshake bad. How's that?
So Gary will endorse the milkshake as good, the handshake bad. And
folks, just think about that. Don't you think it's really ridiculous?
It is a old tradition that we got into that Lord
before we
knows,
had so many germs.
Yes, and Lord knows how many germs we transferred
right
by doing that.
So, folks, if we're going to do anything, let's bump elbows. Better yet, why do anything?
How about just a nod of the head?
Yeah, why don't you say, hey, it's good to see you.
Smile.
Yeah.
A smile. Smile will work.
Yeah.
We could smile and nod of the head. I think that would work.
There's some people you might want to hug.
And hold on really tight.
Yeah, just by soda, don't you?
Yeah, I get where you're coming from, my friend. You know, here's the main thing that I'm going to take away from this program. I walked in here into the studio and thought, with everything going on, with the world upside down, everything coming to a stop, how in the world can I go into the studio, do a program with Gary, and what in the world are we going to talk about? I have enjoyed the last half hour. I have laughed. I have faced my fears, talked about things I can't control, talked about things I could control, but for the last 30 minutes going on it, I haven't been worried, afraid, upset, criticizing, condemning, complaining. I've had a good time visiting with you.
Isn't life wonderful? It really is.
Which was the message you gave us at the beginning of this program. You need to enjoy the time that you have.
You've got today. If it all falls apart tomorrow, Deal with it. But there's no question. You've got today, my friends. Enjoy it. Smile. Have a big time. Don't worry about tomorrow. It may never come. This virus is proof it may never come. So what?
Yeah.
Eventually, there's not going to be any tomorrows for us anyhow, so what difference does it make?
Yeah, I told Gary, I said, so many people are upset because they were hoping that Kentucky would win the NCAA championship, and Gary said, pretend like they did.
Well,
now you can be really happy.
Yeah, just say, yeah, well, there's no question in my mind they would have won.
We had the best
Is
team.
there any question in yours?
No, I think
See, well, they just didn't have to go to all the trouble.
Just didn't have to play the games.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now you can go ahead and say, hey, our team's the national champ. Everything's good, and you can celebrate.
I think just go ahead and chip in and send me the money to buy my trophy.
You know, again,
I just kidding.
Again, from your teachings on this program, it really is
all in your brain.
All up here as to whether or not you're smiling or not smiling, or how you view things.
Whether or not you're happy or not happy.
Happiness is a choice.
That's right.
And hopefully, for those of you, our friends, listening to this program, you realized, maybe you laughed this half hour, maybe something made you think about something and you giggled, but if it did, you realized that you could do the same thing.
You can. My friends, there's no question in my mind. You can be happy.
Mm-hmm.
You can ride this out and maybe even become a whole lot better person because of it.
Healthier. Happier.
More hygiene. And you don't have to go around shaking hands.
I tell you one thing. I've talked with some people a lot younger than me that said, oh, boy, this has made me think about how precious life is and how precious our time on this earth is. It got their attention.
If you got a small dash, enjoy it. And if something really bad comes, deal with it. But don't worry about it until it happens.
So the bottom line,
don't mess up your dash.
Before you and I get back together a week from now, there could be good news or there could be bad news. Time will tell.
Well, there'll be no bad news.
Let's hope. Let's hope. And it'll be interesting.
Right.
Yeah. My friend, thank you so much. You can catch Gary's television program on WYMT, your CBS affiliate in Eastern Kentucky, Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Please join us. We will enjoy your company. In Central Kentucky, a late-night replay on your CBS affiliate, WKYT. And for those of you that get up with Fox in the morning, you can catch us on Monday morning and on Friday morning at 6:30 on your Fox affiliate in Central Kentucky. We look forward to seeing you there. If you need to get in touch with Gary, that's GaryCJohnson.com. Thank you for this time in this program.
Have a great, wonderful day, my friends.
On behalf of Gary C. Johnson, I'm Keith Casebolt. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, Gary and I look forward to seeing you again next week, right here at this same time.